There comes a time in every journey when the noise around you dies down. The voices that once cheered you on go silent. The hands that once clapped for you are nowhere to be found. The path grows narrower, and you look around only to find yourself standing alone. It's in that very moment that a powerful truth begins to unfold. True success is not built in comfort or in the presence of a crowd, but in solitude, in the stillness where only your faith and conviction remain. Solitude is not a sign of failure, it is the refining ground of champions. The world often celebrates the stage, the spotlight, the grand applause, but those are only the fruits. The root, the foundation, the shaping, all of that happens in the shadows where no one is watching. It's in the quiet battles, the private tears, the long nights of doubt, where real strength is born. Many desire success, but few are willing to walk the lonely road it requires. Why? Because walking alone means no one to validate you, no one to comfort you, no one to agree with you. It forces you to rely not on the noise of the world, but on the voice within. It forces you to answer a deeper question. Do you really believe in the path you're walking, even if no one else does? Every great life, every world changer, every bold visionary has come to this point where they had to stand alone in the truth they carried. When you dare to move forward without applause, when you choose purpose over popularity, when you stay true to your values despite rejection, that is when success begins to take root in your soul. We are often tempted to equate success with being liked, being seen, or being accepted. But some of the most successful moments in your life will come when no one is looking. When you say no to what's wrong even though everyone else says yes. When you keep walking even after people have turned their backs. When you work in silence while others boast loudly. That's where you build the kind of success that lasts, success that cannot be shaken by opinion, by pressure, or by setbacks. Solitude teaches you dependence on something greater than yourself. It teaches you to hear the voice of God. When the crowd is gone and the distractions fall away, it's often then that you finally hear the still, small voice saying, "Keep going, I am with you." And that voice becomes your compass. Those who walk alone are not truly alone. There is one who walks with them even in the valley, even in the storm, even in the silence. The world may leave you, but he never will. He watches how you respond when the path grows dark. He sees your faithfulness when no one else does, and he honors it in his time. You may feel overlooked, forgotten, unseen, but don't despise the season of solitude. It is preparing you for something far greater than the world could ever give you. What is being built in you now, the patience, the humility, the faith, the resilience will sustain you when success finally comes. Let others chase quick applause and shallow recognition. You were made for more. Your path may be quieter, but it is deeper. And it leads to something far more eternal than the spotlight. It leads to a life of real purpose, real peace, and real impact. So keep walking, even if your footsteps echo in the silence, even if you can't see the finish line, even if no one understands you right now, because the ones who dare to walk alone are the ones who eventually lead others. and the success that is forged in solitude. That's the kind that can never be taken away. God is not looking for the loudest, the most popular, or the most followed. He is looking for those who are willing to be faithful even when it's hard, even when it's lonely. That kind of person cannot be stopped. That kind of person will change the world. ChatGPT said, "There will be moments in life when the voices around you grow louder than the voice within you." The world is full of opinions, people telling you what's possible, what's smart, what's realistic, and what you should do with your life. And if you're not careful, you'll begin to shape your life around the expectations of the crowd instead of the calling placed within you. But listen carefully. The crowd doesn't define your calling. Your purpose was not handed to you by people. It was given by the one who formed you before anyone ever knew your name. When you were still in the hidden place, before any applause, before any platform, before any plan was formed by man, your calling was already alive in the heart of God. That's why trying to find validation from the crowd will always leave you empty. The crowd is fickle. One day they cheer you, the next day they forget you. One day they follow you, the next they criticize you. You cannot build your destiny on the unstable ground of public opinion. If you allow the crowd to define your path, you will live your entire life seeking permission to be what you were already created to be. Greatness doesn't begin in popularity. It begins in conviction. Those who change the world have always been the ones who were willing to walk against it. They had a vision that the crowd didn't see, and a fire the crowd didn't understand. And that's exactly what made them different. That's what made them great. You don't need the crowd's approval to step into your assignment. You don't need their applause to validate your purpose. You don't need their comfort to walk your path. And the truth is, if your calling really comes from God, it will probably make you stand out. It may isolate you. It may even cost you relationships. But that's the price of purpose. And hear me, it's worth it. History is filled with people who were misunderstood in their time but remembered for their courage. They weren't popular, but they were powerful. They weren't loud, but they were loud in their impact. They didn't fit in because they were made to stand out. Don't compromise your calling just to be accepted. Don't dilute your message just to keep the peace. Don't trade authenticity for approval. Your future is too valuable to be shaped by people who don't understand your mission. The most dangerous thing you can do is silence your God, given voice just to match the volume of the crowd. The world doesn't need more copies, it needs originals. And God didn't call you to be a copy of someone else. He called you to be the fullest version of who He made you to be. You may feel alone in your convictions right now. You may feel like nobody understands why you're pursuing the path you're on. You may even feel tempted to give up because the crowd isn't clapping. But don't lose heart. The silence of the crowd does not mean the absence of your purpose. And just because they don't see it doesn't mean it's not real. Your calling is not up for vote. It's not based on public polls. It's not up for negotiation. It's already settled in heaven. You were chosen, you were set apart, and you were equipped long before anyone else had an opinion about you. So, lift your head, Keep walking. Stay faithful. Keep showing up. And trust that the one who called you will open the right doors, bring the right people, and lead you to the place he has prepared for you. In the end, it won't be the crowd that rewards you. It will be the one who called you. So walk boldly. Walk bravely. Walk alone if you must, but never forget, your calling is greater than the crowd. There's a quiet strength in those who dare to walk a path few others choose. Not because they enjoy being different, not because they seek attention, but because something inside them refuses to bow to compromise. It's not rebellion, it's conviction. It's not arrogance, it's clarity. And when a person stands for what's right, even if it means standing alone, there's a presence with them that the world cannot see, but eternity knows well. God walks with the bold. We live in a world that values comfort, applause, and conformity. From a young age, we are taught to blend in, to not stand out too much, to follow the crowd because it's safer. But the truth is, nothing great has ever come from playing it safe. The people who shift history, who break chains, who rise from the ashes, are the ones who were willing to risk rejection for what is right. You may be in a season right now where it feels like no one understands you. Friends may have walked away. People may mock your decisions, question your faith, or laugh at your dreams, and you're tempted to ask yourself, am I crazy for going down this road? Should I just settle like everyone else? But deep within, there's a whisper reminding you, keep going, don't give up, because the one who called you isn't found in the crowd. He's found in the fire. When you dare to be bold, you tap into something eternal. The kind of boldness that says, I will stand even if I stand alone. I will speak truth even if my voice shakes. I will keep moving forward even when the road is dark. That's the kind of courage God honors. He never promised the road would be easy, but he promised you wouldn't walk it alone. In fact, some of the most powerful moments in Scripture happened when someone chose to walk alone with God. Noah built an ark with no rain in sight. Abraham walked away from everything familiar. Moses stood before Pharaoh. David ran toward Goliath. And Jesus, he walked the path to Calvary with no one by his side. Each of them made a decision that looked foolish to the world, but faithful to heaven. And in their boldness, they didn't just change their own lives. They changed the world. You see, God doesn't look for those who are perfect. He looks for those who are willing to risk, willing to trust, willing to walk into the unknown because they believe in the one who goes before them. Your boldness isn't about loud speeches or fearless actions. It's about daily decisions to do what is right, even when it's hard. You may be misunderstood, but God understands. You may be overlooked, but God sees. You may feel like you're walking in silence, but heaven is paying attention. Every step you take in faith, every stand you make in truth, every tear you cry in obedience, He is with you. Not behind you, not ahead of you, but right beside you. So don't shrink back. Don't let fear have the final word. Don't trade your calling for comfort. Yes, the path of boldness is narrow. Yes, it's painful. Yes, it's lonely. But it's also sacred. It's also holy. and it's filled with the kind of joy, purpose, and peace this world can't offer. There will come a day when everything will make sense, when you'll look back and see how every risk was worth it, every sacrifice was seen, every lonely night was counted. And on that day you'll realize that you were never really walking alone. The hand of God was guiding you, the voice of God was strengthening you, and the heart of God was proud of you. Because God walks with the bold, not the loudest, not the most popular, but the faithful, those who say yes when it's hard, those who keep walking when no one else will, those who dare to believe that with God even the loneliest road leads to the most beautiful victory. In a world driven by numbers, applause, and the chase for recognition, it's easy to measure success by outward appearance. Society tells us that success looks like wealth, fame, influence, and social validation. But when we look beyond the noise and into the heart of truth, we discover something far more lasting. Success is not measured by how high you rise in the eyes of others, but by how deeply you walk. In obedience and faithfulness, obedience is not always glamorous. It rarely gets likes, and it often invites misunderstanding. To obey means to follow a higher calling even when it costs you something, comfort, popularity, or approval. It means choosing the right path when it's not the easy path. It means doing what is required, not what is convenient. In today's culture, where shortcuts are celebrated and compromise is common, obedience looks outdated. But in the eyes of God, obedience is precious. It is the mark of trust, the proof of love, and the seed of eternal reward. Faithfulness is equally misunderstood. To be faithful means to stay the course, to keep showing up, to continue doing the right thing even when no one notices. Faithfulness doesn't demand a stage. It doesn't chase the spotlight. It's the quiet strength that builds a life of meaning behind the scenes. In a world obsessed with overnight success, faithfulness might look slow or unimpressive, but it is faithfulness, not flashes of greatness, that builds a foundation that lasts. You can build empires through talent, but it is character that sustains them, and character is forged in obedience. You can gain followers through charisma, but it is faithfulness that keeps your soul from crumbling under pressure. Obedience and faithfulness are not merely acts, they are attitudes of the heart. They reflect a deep inner conviction that what you do matters more than how it looks. That who you are in secret matters more than how you are perceived in public. There are countless people who have reached worldly heights only to find emptiness at the top. Success without obedience leads to pride. Success without faithfulness leads to collapse. But even the smallest acts, when done in obedience to God and in faithfulness to your purpose, carry eternal weight. A quiet prayer, a kind word, a daily discipline, a decision to say no when everything in you wants to say yes, these are the unseen victories that matter most. Think of a seed planted in the ground. For weeks or even months, nothing seems to happen. There's no applause, no visible change, no recognition. But under the soil, something powerful is taking place. Roots are growing, strength is building, and in time, the fruit will come. That is the life of a person who walks in obedience and faithfulness. They may not see instant results. They may be overlooked. But in time, their life will bear fruit that others can't explain, because it came from a place of deep surrender. Obedience and faithfulness require trust. Trust that you are not wasting your time. Trust that your sacrifices are seen. Trust that the God who called you is keeping watch, and that nothing done in His name goes unnoticed. It is easy to obey when the path is smooth. It is easy to be faithful when results come quickly. But what about when prayers go unanswered? When doors close? When no one claps? That's when true success is defined, not by what you gained, but by what you gave. Not by what you received, but by what you remained. So if you feel like your efforts are hidden, if you feel unseen, unheard, uncelebrated, do not give up. You are not invisible to God. The world may never fully understand the price you paid to stay faithful, but heaven sees it all. Your obedience is not in vain. Your faithfulness is not forgotten. In the end, when the lights go out and the noise fades, it will not be your titles, achievements, or applause that matter. It will be the simple words, "Well done, good and faithful servant." That is success, and that is worth everything. The lonely road, it's not glamorous. It's not popular. It doesn't come with applause or instant rewards. But it is the road that leads to lasting victory, a kind of victory the world can't give and the world can't take away. There will be seasons in your life when it feels like you're walking alone. People you thought would stand beside you disappear. Friends distance themselves. Family may not understand you. You're left with silence. No affirmation, no cheering, no company. And in those moments, doubt tries to creep in. You begin to wonder, am I on the right path? But the truth is, if you're walking in obedience to a higher calling, you're never truly alone. Often, the road that looks empty is actually the one most aligned with purpose. It's the path that many refuse because it costs too much. It costs popularity, it costs convenience, it costs comfort. But what you lose on the lonely road, you gain back in strength, clarity, and depth. You see, anyone can follow the crowd, anyone can do what everyone else is doing. But those who make a difference, those who change lives and leave legacies, they dare to walk the road less traveled. And that road, more often than not, is lonely. There's a reason why the narrow path is walked by few. Because it demands discipline. It demands sacrifice. It demands a resolve that is anchored not in public opinion, but in divine direction. On this road, you don't live for the praise of man, you live for the approval of heaven. You're not chasing instant validation, you're building something eternal. And yes, it gets hard. There are days when quitting feels easier. There are moments when you sit in the silence and wonder if anyone sees your struggle, your faithfulness, your pain. But those are the very moments when you are being shaped, not by applause, but by fire. You are being refined. And what's born in the fire can't be burned in the storm. The lonely road teaches you things the crowd never will. It teaches you to trust deeply. It teaches you to stand without support. It teaches you to believe when there's no evidence yet. It teaches you to be faithful when there's nothing to gain but obedience itself. Sometimes success is hidden in consistency that no one notices. Sometimes breakthrough comes after years of walking in obscurity. But when that breakthrough comes, when the purpose unfolds, it will not be shallow. It will not be fragile. It will be real, unshakable, and rooted in something far greater than applause. It will be rooted in character. This road may not offer immediate rewards, but it promises lasting ones. While others rise fast and fall just as quickly, you're building on solid ground. You're not propped up by hype. You're held up by truth. And truth always outlasts trends. You may not feel it now, but every step you take in integrity is writing a story that matters. Every sacrifice, every lonely prayer, every quiet act of obedience, it's being seen, not by many, maybe, but by the one who matters most. And in time, what you've built in secret will speak louder than anything done for show. History is full of people who walked the lonely road and changed the world. They weren't motivated by fame. They were driven by vision. They chose the mountain instead of the crowd. They endured the silence, the criticism, the misunderstanding, and in the end they left a mark that time couldn't erase. You have that same choice. Will you follow the crowd and settle for temporary approval, or will you dare to walk alone and step into something eternal? It won't be easy, but nothing truly valuable ever is. The lonely road requires courage, it requires faith, but most of all, it requires trust. Trust that your calling is greater than your comfort, and that your purpose is bigger than your pain. And here's the promise. When you reach the end of that road, when you look back on the journey, you won't regret the solitude. You won't regret the long nights, the silent tears, the quiet perseverance. You'll look back and say, it was worth it, because the fruit of that road will be rich, full, and deeply rooted. You'll be able to stand tall, not because others lifted you up, but because you walked in truth when it cost you everything. That's the kind of victory the world doesn't understand, because it doesn't come from the world. It comes from the fire. It comes from the secret place. It comes from walking with God, step by step, even when no one else will. So keep walking, keep trusting, keep believing, because the lonely road doesn't end in defeat. It ends in destiny, and that destiny will speak for itself. That victory will last,